All right, welcome. We see project after project that modernizing mainframe applications brings tremendous benefits for organizations. But there is no one-size-fits-all. On the contrary, there is a choice of different pathways that provide different benefits. So how do you choose? What business value do you need for your own organization? Well, that's what we want to talk about today. We want to show you the different modernization pathways that are available and the benefits you can get from them so that you can start envisioning the value you can get for your own organization. And I'm excited today that we have two real-life stories for you. For this, we'll be joined by Sebastian Pongratz. Sebastian is the head of Global Data Center and Cloud Services at Allianz Technology. And Sebastian will show how Allianz modernizes large mainframe applications across multiple countries. We're also joined by Jesper Plantener. Jesper is the chief architect at Visma Enterprise. And Jesper will talk about how Visma was able to exit their mainframe and modernize within 9 months. My name is Phil DeValence. I'm product manager for the AWS Mainframe Modernization service. And I will focus on showing the various pathways, capabilities, and benefits that you get from AWS. What do we mean when we say about unlocking the value when modernizing mainframe applications? And there are 4 pillars that deliver value when modernizing mainframe applications. The first one is around cost savings. Typically, we see about an average of 70% cost savings when modernizing with AWS. Some customers go beyond it. For example, Jonas was able to obtain 90% cost savings when modernizing with AWS. And why is that important? It's important because with those cost savings, you can invest in further modernization, you can invest in innovations, or you can decide to pass those cost savings to your own customers so that then you can make your product more competitive. The second pillar, where we see value, is around agility. And when we think about agility at the infrastructure level with better operability, efficiencies of operating your environments, but also at the application level, the ability to release new features faster. For example, Itaú, that modernized on AWS, was able to improve by 27% feature releases. Nassau as well was about to reduce by 35% the time to release business enhancements. So that's important so that you can ship new features faster and so that you can release those capabilities faster than your competition. The third pillar of value is around innovation. Once you modernize on AWS, there are hundreds of services that are available at your fingertips so that you can unleash data, you can create new channels, you can provide better customer experiences. For example, we've had Citizen Bank that was able to modernize the customer experiences for their customers. Or HSBC was able to do near real-time customer notification for their banking infrastructure. So it's important to do innovation so that you can adopt new technology quickly, you can invent new business models, and you can develop new customer relationships. The last pillar of value that we deliver when modernizing to AWS is around resilience. And when we say resilience, that includes security, availability, scalability, operability, observability. And once you modernize on AWS, you benefit from centralized monitoring, centralized security and compliance. You get cloud-native built-in resiliency. One example is Nassau Financial Group that was able to reduce by 50% their fault recovery time. And that's important for mainframe applications because mainframe applications are typically core business-critical applications, and we want to make sure that they stay secure and highly available. Now, we talked about the value. Let's talk about how we deliver that value now. And for this, we have proven patterns that are available from AWS Mainframe Modernization service. If you look on the left-hand side, we can do tactical integrations that allow you to create some innovations. Now, if you want to go more towards cost savings, improve resiliency, improve the agility, then you can look towards the right-hand side, and we have different patterns that deal with core application modernization. That means really modernizing the core assets of your application. So let's start on the left-hand side. Augmentation. Typically, you deal with APIs, you deal with data integration, and you deliver a lot of value by creating new channels, for example, new mobile interfaces. Or you can generate new business insights if you feed the data into like a data lake. Or you can include intelligence, like if you start doing AI inferences. Now, if you want to get more towards cost savings, resiliency, and agility, then you have the replatform, the refactor, and the reimagine pattern. So if you look at the color coding, blue is what's not changing, and orange is what's actually being modernized. So with replatforming, you actually move your applications to mainframe-compatible runtime. By doing so, you modernize the underlying infrastructure while preserving the investment that you've made in the application code. But you get benefits at two levels. You get benefits at the infrastructure level because you get some operational efficiencies. You get agility in terms of how you can operate your environment. You get strong cost savings. But you also get benefits at the application level because you're able to create CI/CD pipelines and include DevOps best practices. If you look at refactor pattern, now you're also transforming the application stack. That means the complete code is being transformed so that then you can benefit from a more modern language and the ecosystem that comes with it. For example, the Java ecosystem of frameworks and tools that are available so that you can get even more agility. Now, for both replatform and refactor, you can see that the business functions are not changing. And that's important, because while we do those transformations, because we have functional equivalence, then we can automate a lot of the process so that it brings you speed and scale while doing modernization. When you look at the reimagine pattern to the right-hand side, then you start modifying business functions so that then you can adopt your business, and then you can really address new business needs. But because you don't have functional equivalence, you cannot expect the same speed and scale as when you're doing replatforming and refactoring. Now, all those patterns that provide different values, they can be combined. They're not exclusive. Especially if you're dealing with a large mainframe estate, then typically you would do a portfolio analysis, look at application by application, how you would decompose, and then do different disposition for each of the application. It's very common to see, for example, a replatforming project that would then have benefit from some augmentation so that you can get innovation while you're modernizing your application. So AWS Mainframe Modernization service accommodates small and large mainframes and provides different pathways for you to modernize tailored to your own specific business needs. So this shows a quick view of the comprehensive capabilities that AWS provide for modernization. AWS has continually invested in mainframe modernization capabilities because we always want to make sure that we can improve the automation, optimize the processes for every facet of the modernization journey. For this, to deliver the expected value, we provide technology, people, and processes. On the technology side, you have the AWS Mainframe Modernization service, and we support multiple patterns that we've seen before. So we have technology for refactoring, for replatforming, data replication, file transfer, application testing, and DevOps. There are also partner capabilities that can be incorporated or used. And for this, we've introduced the AWS Mainframe Technology Competency so that you have curated set of offerings that are available to actually do modernization to AWS. And beyond this, from AWS Marketplace, you can get much more capabilities. Now, to be able to successfully execute on those modernization projects, we also have skilled people. So AWS made a strong investment in training people. Internally within AWS, we have hundreds of people that are qualified to help with modernization projects from all aspects of the project delivery, from pre-sale to post-sale, helping with professional services, helping with support, etc. Even partners, we've also trained thousands of individuals at partner organizations to help with modernization projects. And we have the AWS Mainframe Consulting Competency with a curated set of partners that have been vetted to be able to deliver on those modernization projects. And over time, as we capitalize on best practices for doing modernization projects, we've actually been including in programs and processes to be able to improve modernization projects. So we have artifacts such as the MAP program, Migration Acceleration program that's available. We include best practices in our methodology around assess, mobilize, and migrate. We have well-articulated framework. We have prescriptive guidance and other artifacts that are able so that you have reusable assets when you do modernization project. And we're proud and humble that this comprehensive portfolio actually has been recognized by analysts. For example, ISG recognized AWS as a leader in mainframe modernization with the highest position in both portfolio attractiveness and competitive strength. So all this is really designed to provide you with choice and flexibility so that you can modernize your own way. Now, let's see how some of those modernization pathways provide value in real life. And we're going to start with how Allianz modernizes large insurance mainframe application. And for this, I'm very glad to have Sebastian here today to share with us the Allianz story. Over to you.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me? Yes. Super. So my name is Sebastian. I'm heading Global Cloud Services and Data Center for Allianz Technology. I have more than 15 years background in application transformation. And Allianz Technology is the global shared service provider for Allianz. Allianz Group, one of the biggest global insurers, headed or headquartered in Munich, Germany. In the next couple of minutes, I will share with you some insights, what we have done, how we have done it, and what we have still ahead, some learnings, some challenges, but also some success criteria we experienced and what we are going to share with our upcoming projects. So what was our journey so far? About 10 years ago, also driven by external factors, we started to consolidate our data center. They have been multi-locations, and we consolidated into 6 strategic data centers. After that, it was a natural evolution towards a hybrid cloud environment, and we did our first movements towards cloud. And based on this, we now really scaled up in terms of cloud transformation, and by end of this year, we will reach overall 62% of cloud usage for business-critical applications. Our target is to become, by end of 2025 and beyond, more or less pure cloud usage. Next year, end of next year, 75% plus, and then tackling the remaining ones. And what are our guiding principles to arrive or to reach those targets? First of all, cloud first. Second, Allianz Technology as the enabler within Allianz Group to become cloud native and cloud usage first. And third one is talking about business critical applications and huge consumers is exiting the mainframe. Not only modernization, really exiting. How did we do this and how we are going to do this on this journey? Well, first of all, let me go one step back is why are we do this? What are the drivers? For sure, one thing Phil already mentioned is agility. We need to become agile. We need to be agile. Second one is future-proof architecture. Third one, really getting ready for future challenges regarding all technology and fundamental technical usage of any kind of licenses, software, and so on and so forth. Fourth one, for sure, economics. MIPS is not the currency we want to use in the future and want to not be limited by. And fifth one is finally to become faster, time to market, really to support our business and their journeys in their growth opportunities. A couple of years ago, we already started some kind of exercise, some kinds of pilots with smaller OEs to move off, to offload from the mainframe and using a distributed environment. But in the end, for us was clear, if we really want to exit the mainframe, we also need to do a proof with one or with the biggest OE, which is reflecting Allianz in Germany, the biggest mainframe environment we had. And for us, it was clear when it works there, it will really work everywhere. And finally, we will do the mainframe exit. And therefore, we have chosen to take this opportunity and to go on this journey and here to share some numbers with you. It was more than 20,000 MIPS we had to offload in terms of CPU usage, but also here some numbers of how many data we had to offload and migrate. Batch jobs, around 70,000, 12,000 modules we had to remove. And this was our environment. We had been finally be crystal clear and proven to reach this, that we can finally do it and cut over to production. How this was done and how this was supported, and here mentioning AWS and some ready-to-scale features, you all know. IT standards with proven architecture, security isolation, multi-environment, but also reflecting here really the whole business continuity topic, disaster recovery principles, and also frameworks in terms of multi-availability zones, all patterns you need to synchronize your data, and so on and so forth, to really have a stable and solid fundament to do the offloading and get ready for production workload. What I want to mention here is, and that was more than from an application perspective, and we had in place, Phil mentioned the replatforming principle. That was our chosen one. And what you see here regarding the transformation architecture, what helped us, and for me it describes the best, we tried to paint a house, to draft a house and really say crystal clear. So first, second floor is application environment and connected systems. But in the end, it's a huge housekeeping and movement activity to really get clean the basement, the ground floor, and everything around. Because when you do the replatforming, you need to consider everything. And mainframe is not just a technology implemented yesterday. Mostly it's up and running since many, many years, and you detect everything what has happened there in the last years. So a lot of legacy, a lot of workarounds somehow implemented. You need to get clean off, and also everything developers use, how they process their stuff, and so on and so forth. So what you can see here is really the basement we wrote down, and where we had been crystal clear in the end that we need to transform or replace by new technological stuff in the end. We started on small pilots. Then I said the proof for us was Germany. We finally did it successful, and now we copy and scale this model across the globe to all remaining mainframes, naming here Ibero-LATAM and Italy as the big programs on the way. And our target now is latest by end of 2027 to get rid of the old technology. What are our patterns here to do this? For sure it is economic. We should not just do it for the sake of getting rid of, but also solution readiness in terms of technical feasibility, operational resilience, because it's core insurance systems what are running on the mainframe or have been running on the mainframe, and therefore we need definitely 24/7 availability. And in the end, it's all about talent, about the people who are providing those solutions and are there every day to keep the system up and running. What have been our challenges in doing the mainframe offloading? Still challenges there, but especially in pioneering, the big one in Germany. That had been the obvious one. It was around infrastructure adoption, or as I said, technological transformation, as well in pioneering some products regarding our workload or throughput. But as well, there had been the typical iceberg challenges, and mainly around people here. You can imagine there was a huge mainframe community who was not sitting there and waiting that we do an offloading. Then secondly, a lot of knowledge which was in some heads or not even there anymore. And as well, you can imagine doing such a big transformation, and one of the biggest systems we had in place, or we still have in place, is we have seen a lot of people just sitting at the fence and watching what will happen, if they will be successful or not. Then it was a huge investment, and we also needed the support of our customer, and therefore, first of all, we need to convince them and explain what we are doing, that it's not just simply an IT stuff we do somewhere and then come back. It is a huge investment, but there is a lot of value for the customer and for the sponsors. But we need to make them part of the whole game, and we need to convince them that he is benefiting from it in the end. And finally, a lot of external partners we needed because we couldn't do it alone, and therefore having their support and inclusiveness. What have been our success factors? Proactive monitoring. From the first day, we knew everything about our platform, not only from a technical perspective, but also from a business perspective, throughput, what is happening in the system, and that gives us a lot of trust. Second, strong provider relationship, naming AWS here, but as well, I think I can name is former Micro Focus, now Rocket, who supported us a lot in being successful here. Tight IT and business collaboration I already mentioned. And finally, the inclusion topic, and I'm very proud of this, that we really made it to transform, I would say, more than 90% of the mainframe community towards a distributed Linux system. So coming back to the potential benefits, in the end, we made it to transform. We can deliver every second week at least. We also can be faster. We have no outdated components anymore. We have implemented a clear life cycle. We did a 3-digit million investment, and it paid off after 3 years. And in the end, the performance is better, the stability is higher, and the whole system is more resilient. So we reached all our goals we wanted to reach, and finally, I'm very proud that we have done it, and we are on track to really fulfill our strategy. Thank you very much, and with this, I will hand over to Jesper.
Thank you very much, Sebastian. Hi, everyone. My name is Jesper. I'm the Chief Architect at Visma Enterprise, and in the next 20 minutes, I'm going to show you how to exit your mainframe in 9 months. But let me just start out by introducing Visma Enterprise here. We specialize in HR and payroll software. We produce approximately 250,000 payslips each month on the Danish market. We're part of Visma Group, and we consist of more than 180 different companies all around the world, and we are more than 15,000 employees. But let's take a look at the cloud strategy actually driving this migration. First of all, Visma's cloud strategy is really that we can be the best in the world at producing fit-for-purpose software for local markets, but we cannot be the best in the world at running data centers. So we want to engage with a partner that can be the best in the world at running data centers. Also, public cloud enables continuous delivery and DevOps, driving our engineering performance and commercial performance. And of course, we want to accelerate our time to market. Before, we might have scheduled releases once a month for the mainframe systems, and now our target is to release multiple times a week. And finally, of course, we want to reduce our total cost of ownership, especially compared to the mainframe. Right, so let's take a look at the timeline and history of our cloud strategy so far. And maybe you've already noticed the red cross up there that says failure, because we actually tried to do a conversion before, an auto conversion, where we took our COBOL code, converted the code, but it didn't turn out the way we expected, to be honest. Yeah, it just got too long stretched. We lost attention from our business units and from our stakeholders. It required a lot of manual work on top of the auto-converted code. So we needed a different approach with less risk and faster results. So in 2022, we started the Mainframe Modernization project, the project that I'm going to tell about here. And 9 months later, in 2023, we had the entire mainframe workload actually running in the public cloud. And just to top it all off, we actually set another goal of having 90% of all of our workloads running in the public cloud by the end of this year. And we're in December now, so I'm not really sure that's going to happen, but it's going to be 100% in 2025. Right, so for our migration strategy, we decided on the replatforming approach because it aligns with our cloud strategy, as I've just explained. It delivers results faster than rewriting COBOL, and this was a really important piece for us because we had an upcoming contract renewal with our mainframe supplier, and we really did not want to extend that one. Also, we get to modernize other legacy components without actually touching the business logic, meaning that we can replace the database, we can replace other systems around or modernize other systems around, but we actually don't touch the business logic of our COBOL programs, reducing the risk. We get a reduction in our operating costs as fast as possible. I don't think it's possible to do it faster than that. And throughout the entire project, we had expert partners available from both AWS and from Rocket. This has been a big help, of course. So let's dive into the actual project itself. So this is just a high-level overview of the project timeline, starting with an assessment phase where we defined the scope, we identified necessary changes, we designed the infrastructure. Then came the actual migration phase lasting 9 months, where we would recompile all of our COBOL programs. We would build the actual infrastructure. We would implement the new database. We would refactor our APIs to support the new database. We would implement a new scheduler, a batch scheduler. And then, of course, we would test everything for our business and performance requirements. I'm going to get back to that in a bit. Then we had our go live in June. And just after go live, we, of course, had a phase of hypercare, making sure that everything was running as expected. And we also got to get familiar with all the new tools available to us. Now, once we were actually familiar with the tools, we could start to modernize even further. So that's what we've been doing for the last long time now. So first of all, we took the CI/CD pipeline. Before, COBOL didn't really integrate into our existing CI/CD pipeline or with our more modern CI/CD pipeline. So it was a manual process. We would create tickets with our supplier. They would allocate resources. We would have to pack things together. They would put it on the server. That took a long time. But now we can integrate with our existing CI/CD pipeline, and we are in control of everything ourselves. Everything is automated, and we can deploy whenever we actually want to. So this is really nice. Also, of course, we were looking into scaling, because since we're doing payroll, then most of the load that we actually have on our systems is at the end of a month. Meaning that why pay for peak all the time? So now we can scale according to our needs, and actually, just buy computer on demand. The third initiative here is actually to refactor COBOL. So the whole purpose of this strategy for us is actually to be able to refactor COBOL at the right time and at the right pace with less risk. And finally, the fourth initiative here is to use managed services and AI from AWS. Again, we want to produce software. We don't want to run data centers, so we really want to use those managed services. And hey, everybody's looking at AI, so we are as well, of course. All right, so let's try and dig a little bit deeper into some of the technical stuff here. And if we just start on the right-hand side, so we can compare sizes, we migrated 500,000 lines of COBOL. We were spending 1,800 MIPS at peak. We migrated 1,200 stored procedures, 30 COBOL stored procedures. We replaced our entire database engine, and we replaced our scheduler. And don't worry if your mainframe is bigger than my mainframe. This architecture does scale. So let's go through the actual architecture diagram here. The first thing I want to highlight is the multi-availability zone setup, which supports high availability and resiliency. So we are running in multiple data centers at the same time. In case a service goes down or a data center goes down, then we are still running. That's, of course, very important. Also, we have the Direct Connect here. Direct Connect enables us to actually connect our existing corporate data center to our AWS infrastructure, meaning that we don't have to migrate everything at once. This really optimizes our migration timeline. We can keep our APIs, we can keep our CI/CD pipeline and migrate it at a later time, which we're working on right now. Then we have the enterprise servers placed in a scaling group. Enterprise server is what's actually running the COBOL programs. And we utilize scaling to pay for only what we use. We have the managed FSX and Elasticache Redis, which provides the shared state for enterprise servers, allowing the scaling to happen, meaning that all input and output files, etc., are actually available to all of these instances. Then we have a new database. We have a new scheduler. And finally, we have the enterprise developer. And I don't know if any of you are COBOL developers or have probably seen COBOL developers work on a green screen, but the enterprise developer really modernizes that experience. Now they can use Visual Studio or Eclipse. You get color coding. Whoa. You're able to debug locally on your computer, and it just provides a better experience than what our developers are used to. So this is really nice. Right. So I want to share a few learnings here from our project. First of all, it's important to recognize the complexity of this project, of course. And the first one is actually a bit of a tricky one because I thought I was kind of scared to run COBOL outside of a mainframe initially, but it turned out to be probably the easiest part of the entire migration. I mean, that really works. However, you get to spend a lot of time with integrations. For instance, in our case, we replaced the database and the scheduler, meaning that we had a lot of refactoring to do on APIs and migrating old batch jobs to the new engine and so on. So pay attention to that. And also performance. Now, on a mainframe, you have your database and your COBOL code running next to each other, so there's zero latency. But once you go public cloud, you're probably going to run these instances on different servers, right? And even adding a single millisecond of latency will add up in case you're running millions and millions of rows, reading them one by one. At least we experienced that. Now, the second one here is we really depended on a motivated team. Again, this was a project done in 9 months, right? So we needed to have our team members with us here. So how do you actually motivate a team of techies? Well, you already have a meaningful and challenging project for them, but you need more. I mean, you need them to work overtime, maybe weekends, maybe even holidays. So it's important to pay attention to them. So bring them pizza, make them sit together, let them make all the decisions. Know your team and know what actually makes them feel happy. This is really important. Also, we wouldn't have succeeded without being bold. So be prepared to make rapid decisions. I mean, you really try to plan everything up front, right? And it just doesn't go as you expect. So be prepared to make rapid decisions, experiment, adapt during the project. You will make mistakes, so embrace them, learn from them, and move on. And then finally here, top-down executive commitment was a key factor for success. And this is really my key takeaway here. So while the technical challenges are important, the real key to success in a project of this scale is full organizational involvement from top to bottom. It's not just an IT project. Do monthly meetings, explain the progress to everyone. It's your responsibility to make it everyone's project, and then you will succeed. Now, let's try and take a look at some of the benefits we actually got from that project. So, first of all, we got an immediate 55% cost savings just on our infrastructure. I think that's pretty nice. Literally like that. And we are getting even further cost reductions over time because we are now implementing scaling as well. What we also saw from the project was actually that we got an increase in our employee engagement in our product development department. We had an increase of 29 points. And I think this actually comes down to a clear strategy for modernization. So people now know what's expected of them. They know what to do. They know what we expect. And they also have full ownership of the code and infrastructure, meaning that there are fewer dependencies outside of the team that you're working in. They also have better tooling available, leading to more work satisfaction. And then finally, our lead time on infrastructure changes went down from, well, more than 24 hours, again, because we had to create tickets with our supplier before they would allocate resources. Yeah, there was just a lot of manual work involved in changes before, whereas now we can do everything ourselves. We're not depending on anybody else than ourselves. So this is really driving our time to market. Oh yeah, I love this one. Remember, I'm a techie myself. So these are dashboards showing the general health of our services and any individual jobs that require attention. So our mainframe was sort of a black box to a lot of us. Of course, there were some people actually knowing what was going on, but a lot of us didn't really know what was actually happening. So now we've created these dashboards, which shows exactly what's going on all the time. And we've even shared them with our customer support for full transparency. And it has really improved the response times to issues that we have because, well, everybody's aware of it immediately. We can see things up front. We are very proactive handling issues. And it also reduced the number of interruptions we actually get during incidents because, well, since customer support knows that there's an issue, they can see it on the screen. They don't have to come and tell us because we know already. So it just provides confidence throughout the entire organization. And I'm sure this can be done on a mainframe as well, but how long time would that actually take you to set up? Because this just took a few hours. Right, so let's take a look at future innovations that are now possible with AWS that we couldn't do before. First of all, we're going to modernize all of our workloads to AWS. As I just said in the beginning, we didn't quite reach 90% this year, but we are going to move everything during next year. And we want to introduce scaling as well as much as possible. We're also going to refactor COBOL, modernizing our architecture from a batch-like architecture to a more event-driven architecture. And we're also doing that to actually leverage GenAI more. GenAI doesn't really work well with COBOL, in my experience, but it works really well with contemporary programming languages, so we want to drive our engineering performance. Then we're looking into Amazon Q in QuickSight. I don't know if you know what it is, but think about it as chatting with your data. So you can ask, how many people did I hire this year compared to last year, instead of writing advanced queries. And I really want to bring that value to our customers, and that's now possible with AWS. And finally, we have the managed services provided by AWS. Again, we want to produce software. We don't want to run data centers. So leveraging all the managed services as possible that we can get our hands on. And that's how we successfully migrated our entire mainframe workload in 9 months and continue to actually enhance our applications. I hope this presentation was insightful to you, and I'm happy to answer any questions after the session. Back to Phil.
Thank you, Jasper. It's amazing to see what you've been able to accomplish in 9 months, and also how you keep iterating on the modernization activities once on AWS. So now I want to dig a little deeper into the AWS technology portfolio, which supports the various modernization pathways I was talking about. And we're going to start with the tool chains that are available with AWS Mainframe Modernization service. Those tool chains really focus on core application modernization. Essentially, you take the application assets, and then you modernize them as you're moving along towards AWS. And those tool chains support the end-to-end modernization process, from analyzing the assets, to transforming them, to testing them, to developing and maintaining your application once they've been modernized, and also deploying and running your applications. The first tool chain you can see on the left-hand side is a refactor tool chain that's provided by AWS Mainframe Modernization. It's powered by the AWS Blue Edge technology, and it allows fast transformation of the complete application stack from a COBOL-based, for example, applications to Java. So that with this technology, you can really modernize at scale millions of lines of code, including the backend logic, the front end, and the data access. It provides you with predictable functional equivalence, predictable timeline, and also allows you to engage in a project with a predictable cost. On the right-hand side, you can see we have replatform toolchains as well available. Those allow you to preserve the investment that you've made into the code while modernizing the underlying infrastructure. We have 2 toolchains available as part of the AWS Mainframe Modernization service. One of them is powered by Rocket Software Enterprise Suite, and the other one is powered by Entity Data Unikix. And they have different capabilities, different use cases. That's why we have 2, so that we can support a wider set of application use cases. Now, those tool chains are AWS-provided offerings, which means that AWS provides product support, AWS licensing, you benefit from AWS security, and you also have AWS programs that are applicable when you adopt those tool chains. Beyond the tool chains that focus really on core application modernizations, we have what we call accelerators. Essentially, those are tools that are available for any pattern or any tool chain. They can be used in a standalone manner. They can be used as part of an augmentation scenario. They can be used for modernization and migration projects. The first one we have is around assembler conversion. I mean, we see often assembler that's still present on mainframes, and we don't want this assembler component to delay projects, and so that's why we've made it part of the AWS Mainframe Modernization service. So it really unblocks the projects, and it's available in a self-service manner, which means that you just need to go on the AWS console. You can start up a container as part of code build, analyze your code, and then if you're happy with the analysis, and just move ahead with the conversion. So it's very easy to use. The second accelerator we have is called application testing. That's a cloud-native capability that allows functional equivalence testing, including automated replays and comparisons. It's available right from the AWS console, and it really allows securing your project and accelerating your projects by doing functional equivalence testing at scale. The third component, that's an accelerator as part of AWS Mainframe Modernization service, is file transfer. With file transfer, you go to the AWS console. The AWS console will actually connect to your mainframe. You'll be able to see your mainframe datasets, and you can just create some transfer tasks. So it's very easy to use, and it can be used in a wide set of use cases as part of a modernization project and migration project, for example, but you can also use it for augmentation scenarios. Let's say you have some vSAM dataset that has interesting business data on the mainframe side. You want to be able to use that data for doing data analytics. Then you can create a transfer task with file transfer, move that data over, and then get some business insights, possibly using quick sites like Jesper was mentioning. And the last accelerator we do have available is AWS Mainframe Modernization data replication. This one doesn't operate at the dataset level, but at the database level, which means that you can transfer business data from the mainframe database to the AWS databases. That rely on the technology that's called change data capture, so that you can have near real-time data replication from the mainframes to AWS. And this one, again, can be used for various types of use cases. As part of a large migration project, for example, where you may have a mainframe database that's still running with some application accessing, but you have an application, another database on the AWS side, and you need to keep them synchronized, well, that's where you can use data replication. Or if you have a database that's still on the mainframe application on the mainframe, but you want to use that data, let's say for new channels or for business insights, for example, then you can just replicate the data over and do all your analysis on the AWS side. So don't hesitate to use those accelerators as part of any modernization project, even with third-party toolchains. Something that's exciting that we just announced this week, we are very excited about that new capability. It's called Amazon Q Developer that has now new mainframe capabilities for modernization. And the goal really with Amazon Q Developer is to simplify the assessment and transformation using AI agents. And what we're doing with that component is that we're combining generative AI and proven automation to get the best of both worlds and create quality outcomes. So essentially, with Amazon Q Developer, you get onto the web interface, you chat with Amazon Q Developer, you tell Q Developer what you want to do, specify a goal, and then the agent will understand that goal and then will access various tools that are integrated with the agent in order to execute on that goal. Let's say you have a mainframe program that you don't know what it's doing, or you have maybe thousands of programs that you don't know what they're doing, and you want to document them. Well, you just type your intent into Q Developer, and Q Developer will just call the documentation capability as part of the Q Developer agentic framework, and will just generate documentation for you. Now, we have a set of capabilities. It can do analysis, documentation, decomposition, which means breaking down large monoliths if you want to identify domains that you want to modernize one after the other. It can do planning based on those domains that have been identified. And it can also do refactoring. If you want to modernize the code from, let's say, COBOL to Java, then it can also do so. And those features are optional. So it really depends on the intent that you have, on the objective that you're specifying. Then Amazon Q Developer will guide you. You'll be able to chat with it. So if you just have general questions, you can just type them in the chat, and it will answer you and provide you guidance in terms of how you can perform your modernization. And that new capability as part of Amazon Q Developer is pattern agnostic, which means that you can use it as part of a refactor project, as part of a replatform project, even reimagine or replace project or augmentation, right? So just see capabilities of what it's capable of doing, actually, and then based on your intent, then it's just going to help you achieving certain modernization tasks. So a lot has happened this week at re:Invent beyond what you heard today. There are more monetization pathways and lots of great customer stories that were shared. So if you did get a chance to attend, great. If you did not, it's all going to be available on YouTube for replay. So you can hear from Toyota, Transamerica, Marriott, Empower, Kemper, Vanguard, Goldman Sachs. So a lot of stories, a lot of pathways that you can learn more about. There is actually also a workshop that's happening right after this session at 3 p.m. If you are not registered, maybe you can go and see if there is any room available. So we invite you to join it. It's MAM110, Accelerate Mainframe Modernization at Scale with Generative AI. All right, so as you can see, you have flexible pathways that are available depending on which benefits you're looking for. And AWS provides a large choice of proven capabilities for you to define your own unique modernization pathway. So we're excited about how you're going to use those capabilities. And feel free to engage us, right? If you need any assistance, we're always glad to help. I want to thank Jesper and Sebastian very much for sharing their experience and their insights with us today. Thank you all very much for joining our session, and have a great day.